Do you know what one of the fastest growing sports in America is? Pickleball. And here are the rackets. What is up, internet world, and welcome back to Accelerate. My name is Mike, and the man behind the camera is Ian, and today I bring you the 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV. The all-new Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid EV. There's a big badge here letting you know, the buyer, or any person that drives up next to one of these, that this is new for 2023. In 2022, the Mitsubishi Outlander was refreshed, and there are people out there that do not know that the Outlander and the Rogue is pretty much the same vehicle. But now you have a plug-in version that has DC charging. You know what that means? It essentially means that it uses the same technology as a fully electric car, which means it charges really, really fast. You see, most cars today sold that are plug-in hybrids are a lot slower. They charge at a very, very slow rate. But now you've got this that actually has a range of 38 miles, but people have actually got almost 60 miles worth of range on this plug-in hybrid. So today we're gonna spend some time on it. We're gonna talk about the outside, the inside. We're also gonna tell you to subscribe and hit that red button you see down there, because only 6% of you actually do, which is wild to us. I'm in the 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV plug-in hybrid. This makes 248 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque. Now I'll explain how the power gets distributed, what electric motor does what, the front and back, and the engine. I'll talk about all that stuff, but I want to get the drag time down to 60 miles an hour or 100K, 62 or 100K. Whew, let's go. Okay, so now I'm gonna put in power mode. Now, with all transparency out there, I have absolutely no battery power stored up. There is the electric portion that's going to work when I accelerate, but there's no power in the actual battery packs at the moment. And that is because vehicles may not have full battery when you test these things. So I wanted to show it with no battery power and see how much I could get for performance. For the ground and, ooh, that's cool. Okay, I'll try it again. No. Okay, EV, go. Come on, come on, give me a good 60 time. There we go, 7.84. Huh, doesn't seem that fast. Feels faster. It's not a CVT transmission, it's a one-gear transmission. One gear that just keeps on going. Now, if you're looking to buy one of these PHEVs, in the US, there's 7 different trim models. They start around $39,900 and go all the way up to $49,900. That's a $10,000 price gap. And same in Canada, it's also a $10,000 price gap with a starting price of $46,500 all the way up to $57,000 and change. So there we go. Those are the numbers on this PHEV. To the front of the Mitsubishi Outlander. Now, we've already reviewed it, so I will not get too deep in my opinion, with the exception of these lights down here. I'm not a huge fan of having lights down here. This is very Range Rover Evoque-ish, these DRLs. And when I move to the center right here, nice big black front grille with the Mitsubishi badge, and then your Outlander in black. I'm glad they didn't put it in chrome. I like it in black. Nice touch, Mitsubishi. And moving below, you obviously have your Parktronics and then your front camera. So Mitsubishi has this concept. It's called I-Fu-Doo-Doo. I kid you not. It's called authentic and majestic, and it inspires the design of the front end and side of this Mitsubishi. So every time your stomach hurts and you feel like you should fu-doo-doo, you can think of the Mitsubishi Outlander. Seriously speaking, I actually do like the way this thing looks on the side. The side and the front end looks, oops, almost died. It looks really good. It's just different. I find like everything else looks standard and basic. Like the RAV4 is ugly looking. The Escape, well, Ian likes it, but I'm not a huge fan of the design. But this, I do like it. It's just like one step above all the competition, in my opinion, aesthetically. So if we start at the front of the side, you have 20-inch wheels on this plug-in hybrid. You have this black trim that goes around that's durable so it doesn't destroy the paint. On the mirror housing, you do have your 360 camera hiding right here. This has a two-tone paint. It's called Labrador Black on the top and of course white on the bottom. You do have this trim that wraps around, and it's kind of Ford Flex sort of straight vibe, so you know that you have high headroom inside the vehicle. Now unfortunately the Mitsubishi only has one door per side that has this button where you can lock and unlock the doors. So if you wanted to get into the back when the car is locked, you have to press the button and then walk here and unlock this back door. But that's okay because you have something that trumps everything, and that is DC fast charging. When I push this, it opens up, and look at this. This is amazing. Opens up and opens up. That is cool. This also has something similar to what the Kia and Hyundais do, which is called the vehicle to load. So to the back, they call this the Horizon Hexagon theme, or what I call it, the old generation BMW X5. It can tow 1,500 pounds, and I will say though, it does look good. I do like the back of it. It just reminds me a little bit like a Jeep Cherokee, but there's no complaints. This looks way better than a RAV4. Like, I'd be caught dead in a RAV4. I'd rather be in this thing. So if you start at the top, again, you have your two-tone color. You have black at the top. Moving down, you have your wiper here. Again, you always know I don't like the wipers there. I prefer them underneath here. You have your third brake light. Then you got your Mitsubishi badge. Of course, your fancy taillights. SAWC Super All-Wheel Control, PHEV, Outlander. And then you have your little camera hiding underneath there. Of course, your Parktronic sensors. And again, this can tow 1,500 pounds. And you're probably wondering why only 1,500 pounds and not 2,000 pounds. Well, I have no idea. So let's get into the trunk of this Outlander. Now you have two buttons like all German vehicles. You have one that sets the height adjustment of the rear trunk, as well as you have a button there that is to lock the vehicle when the key is in your pocket. So that's the button you touch, you walk away, all the doors, and of course the trunk will lock. Now when you're in the back here, we will talk about dimensions, but I want to talk about two things quickly before I get into dimensions. The first thing is you get this little fancy bag, and this is where the charger is kept, sort of unique. And then you have your third row hiding right here. I actually thought this was a 5-passenger because I wasn't expecting to see the third row hiding underneath here. You lift this up, it goes there, you have your numbers, number 2 and number 4. You pull this thing here and voila, whoops, my hand's just doing something a little funny here. Things like that. And then there we go. That is your third row. It is not designed for adults. It's designed for little teeny todders. Back seat of the Nissan Rogue. There's a lot of space back here in this Outlander. I will say, it also does this. Put my hand underneath, I can slide backwards and forwards, and there's lots of different increments that I can stop it at. That is cool because they're gonna need it for the people in the back. That is nice, I like it. Nice black headliner. Again, I talked about this in the BMW X1, the way these panoramic sunroofs stop. Like you'll see right here that it stops right there. So this is where the panoramic sunroof stops. In the X1 that we just reviewed, it's right here. Now I will say that makes a difference. It makes you feel more or less claustrophobic. But because back here, it is a bigger vehicle, but I will say that I have to go like this to actually see outside or to get light in. I wish they just extended this sunroof to about here. That's me in the second row. Imagine the kids in the third row. They're definitely gonna feel more claustrophobic, even though they have a cup holder back there to keep them busy with the fuzzy drinks. But anyways, start at the door panel here. I do have these little sunshades. That is a nice touch. And then when I slide back these puppies back down again, I do have tinted windows in the back. I do have a little light for me to read a book. As far as heated seats go, there are 3 increments per side where the stitching is. In the center, there's no typical sort of drop down for your cup holders. You actually have to drop the whole seat down to get it like this. 2 cup holders right there, and then you can have access to the back very easily. Or maybe the third row has access to it as well. Depends on who's sitting back there. Very, very smooth leather. It feels smoother than Napa leather. It's like very, very slippery to my fingers. And then of course you have climate control, one very small display with heat and cool. And then you have 2 vents there, and that is about it as far as venting. So kids in the back, there's no venting. There's just those 2 back there. So they're gonna be sweating. So make sure you don't get one with a dark color on the outside. Don't get black, get white if you live in a hot climate. Front seat of the Outlander. Now, it's very similar to the last one you had. Obviously, it hasn't changed much in that department, with the exception that one was white, and this one's black. And that one got dirty really easily, but it looked so nice, and I do prefer white, depending on your style. Black is like everything else we get. So if we start at the door panel here, there are 2 memory seats. Of course, you can fold the mirrors in, and then it's nice because you have contrasting buttons for your windows. They're in silver, like high gloss silver. That is really cool. Then you look down here, you have different buttons. You have a button for, of course, your gas, but you also have a button to disengage your plug when you plug it in on the EV side of things. You also have a button that says AC 1500 watts. That's to activate the plug. Again, nice things over here that you can control, whereas just having them on all the time. And that includes your trunk button. By hitting this button, the trunk opens up, and let's check and see if you can press the button and it closes. It doesn't. Now, as far as displays, you have a 9-inch infotainment display and a 12.3-inch driver's display that has a totally different brightness contrast. This is sort of dim, this is ultra bright. This looks exactly like, similar to the Nissan Rogue, and this is pretty much the same as the Nissan Rogue. Same with the steering wheel, it has all the same buttons. So if you haven't watched our Nissan Rogue review, well, go ahead and do so. The screen does have 360 cameras and, of course, Android Auto and CarPlay. Moving down, you have your HVAC controls. You have them left and right. It is dual climate control. And of course, you have heated steering wheel, but only one increment, not three. You do have 3 increments for your heated seats per side. You have USB, USB-C, a wireless charger that goes right here, and then the same shifter as the Nissan Rogue. Moving below, you have 7 different drive modes, your electromechanical parking brake, auto hold, 2 big cup holders, and then a glove box that is decent in size, not the largest thing, but it's decent, enough to put a bunch of keys and chewing gum. Now, although there are only 2 vents in the back, it's nice that they have a separate control specifically for the rear vents. It's unique though that they put this in here, but then only had 2 vents that goes to the second row and not the third. I just find that really, really strange. You know what's really cool about this? This is by far the fastest vehicle to go from this is the most useless piece of information, but it's amazing. To go from drive to reverse, it is literally the fastest. Okay, reverse, drive. Look how fast it goes. Reverse, drive. So if you're doing a really quick turn, all gas vehicles take forever to go from neutral to, from reverse to drive. But this thing's like instant, and I know this because in the studio when I was trying to make these little 3-point turns to get the right shooting angle, it happened right away. It's amazing. Now, for the bad stuff. This car, vehicle, SUV, whatever you want to call it, is noisy. It's not that the tires are noisy or the engine. The engine's really quiet. But it's the electric portion that's pretty loud. Like, it's noisy. Like, it makes this whining noise that's cool under acceleration and stuff, but on a daily drive, it's like, I don't know what's worse, a droning exhaust or this like high frequency noise that still comes into the cabin. That, to be honest, is rather irritating. Anyways, now handling. So what they've done here is really good. This is like their super duper handling, all-wheel drive system and stuff. Now, because it's an SUV and it's a comfortable, soft SUV, it does ride very elegantly and gently. But what they've done is they've made the steering very light and direct, so it's giving you that sporty feeling, yet there is a little bit of body roll to this thing, but it's smooth and nice. I have no complaints about the ride of this Mitsubishi. It's priced well, so I can't really complain about maybe the insulation of it all and the luxury feel of it, but then again, think about who its competitors are. This is miles better than the Ford Escape. Even though Ford Escape has got better over the years, it is better than a Ford Escape. I would buy this any day of the week over a Ford Escape. It's the other stuff, like the Sportage is good, is really good. But this feels more luxurious inside. When I look at it, I feel like it's premium. It gives you all the premium stuff. It jams a ton of content in it. So if you're the type to buy off a piece of paper with all the content listed out, this is gonna hit a home run. This is the other cool part about this Mitsubishi. The regen braking is exactly like an electric car. You can actually set it up differently that you can have hard regen braking, which is really nice. But it's the impact it makes when you're on the throttle while you're rolling, and it's instant. Like, it's instant. Very different than most plug-in hybrids. This is very sharp and on the go with no battery. Like, it's 3 little lines telling me, you ain't got no power, comadre. But when I hit the gas, it feels like I got power. Yeah, it's definitely not depending on only engine, because here comes the sad news about the engine. It is highly underpowered. When I mean highly underpowered, I mean that the rear electric motor makes the same power, or very close to the same power as the engine itself. That is depressing. And when you do like how much power this takes and all the specs of it all, this is like on the bottom of the list, even though it makes almost the most amount of power besides the RAV4 Prime. Okay, so here are the specs, and there's a lot of it, so that's why I have to whip up my phone. The front motor makes 114 horsepower and 188 pound-feet of torque. The rear motor makes 134 horsepower and 144 pound-feet of torque. And this weak sauce motor makes 131 horsepower and 144 pound-feet of torque. Look, guys, that is really weak. 131 horsepower and 144 pound-feet of torque. It desperately needs these electric motors to push it. And it does do that. So I'm happy with it. I mean, these numbers are very depressing. I would never market these numbers. I would tell people the big number when you have combined the 248 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque. That number, for sure, I would be blasting that everywhere. I would never, ever tell anybody this 2.4 liter motor makes 131 horsepower and 144 pound-feet of torque. That is very depressing. Now, it's not turbocharged or supercharged. It's naturally aspirated, so it is what it is. But hello, Mitsubishi, you got to get rid of this motor and put something more fun. Like, you are defined by cool, fast stuff of the past. So now let's talk about what is important here, and that is the charging portion of it, of why you would buy one of these. And because it has fast charging, we will talk about some numbers. So first things first, when you plug it at home, when you have a dryer plug-in, you plug it at 15 amps, this thing charges in 6.5 hours. It's pretty quick. Then you take it to a quick charger, which is one of those fancy Electrify Canada or Electrify USA chargers, and when you plug it in, you get 80% of charge in 38 minutes. These are EV numbers. Again, not everybody else offers this kind of stuff. This is the first of its kind. Then you have number 3, the charging by the engine. 80% charge happens in 94 minutes. That's pretty cool, that the engine actually charges the battery in 94 minutes. That's really good. So you have the best of all 3 worlds, I guess, in that specific case. And then you have a power supply that can charge a coffee maker, a toaster, a hairdryer, and a vacuum cleaner, because it has a maximum output of 1500 watts. You have that. Boom. Anyways, that's enough specs and numbers. I would say I just wish they'd tighten up the suspension a little bit more, just a tiny little scrunch more. I just don't feel that confident behind the steering wheel, if I'm being 100% honest. So let's regen. I've got 5 regen modes. The negative button, I press it, I've got B5, B4, B3, B2, B1, B0. I guess that's 6. Let's roll all the way to 5, and the brake lights come on, and it shows me that brake lights are coming on, and I'm coming to a full almost stop, and my charge is gaining, and I am coming to a stop. Will I fully stop in B5 mode? No, I guess not. I'm rolling, but I'm not stopping. I'm at 10 kilometers an hour, and I'm not going any slower. Okay, thought I would stop. Foot to the ground. Like, that's where that's the electric kicks in. That instant. That's definitely not this 133 horsepower. Like, look at that. Wow, this front is jumping. Jump, jump, I'm like that and make you jump, jump. So how about blind spots? Well, looks really good. I don't see it being a problem. How's ride? Again, very smooth and comfortable. They've even actually extended these side mirrors out a little bit more so that you have this gap in between where you can see and the side mirror doesn't block, because in a lot of vehicles you have the A-pillar and then you have the actual side mirrors, and they're so tight together that it creates a little bit of a blind or a dead spot when you're looking at pedestrians cross, especially at night. But they have this gap now so you can see right in between, and Mitsubishi actually highlights this little design feature they've put in it. They actually even highlight how quiet the cabin is, and you can't hear this whining sound. Maybe I just have big ears and a big nose, and maybe combined they can hear more. I don't know, but I can hear it. Anyways, I hope you guys like this video on this 2023 Mitsubishi PHEV plug-in hybrid. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.